Imagine having an idea that is so good that it feels illegal. I had one of those. It was a comic book so addictive that it would hook you from page 1. So I couldn't not make it, and that's why I started learning to draw. But then I got stuck. I wasn't excited anymore. I felt guilty that after work, I couldn't force myself to do the exercises from the courses I bought. My routine broke down, I stopped practicing, and I added my comic book to the graveyard of ideas that I started but never finished. I blamed my willpower, of course, procrastination, lack of discipline, all of that. But that's not the only time it happened. The same happened with that fashion brand that I wanted to start. Socks, of course. And about a dozen different apps that I started coding, but I never shipped. So I know how it feels like to be the guy with a lot of ideas but no results. So I spent years nerding out on the science of motivation, understanding the mechanics of it and experimenting in practice. And it worked. I didn't start that fashion brand yet, but I managed to teach myself very hard things and change careers. Twice. Willpower was never the problem. No, and it's probably not the problem for you either. The real issue was a series of small and surprisingly common mistakes that almost everyone makes, simply because no one ever taught us what they are and how to avoid them. In this video, I'll cover 3 of those mistakes in the hope that catching even one of them early will keep you from feeling stuck ever again. I've also made a free guide that you can download and follow along with this video to make sure that you can absorb as much as possible from the concepts I talk about, because most of them, if not all, are probably gonna be new to you, as they were for me. And if after this video you still need help achieving your goals, I've got something else for you, which I'll mention at the end. Let's go. Mistake number 1 is front-loading dopamine. We all do that because it feels good and it's easy. It's when we dream about the outcome that we want. The problem is that you get the buzz too early because you're not excited about doing the thing. You're excited about life after it's done. The rush comes from imagining the end result, basically, and it makes us do the wrong things. Thinking about being a professional filmmaker, for example, makes us buy expensive gear before having shot our first film and understanding anything about activities that are involved. Thinking about running a successful business makes us think of the name, the logo, the branding before having tried to sell anything to anyone. It feels like you're making progress, but you're just feeding the fantasy. I made this mistake for years, and I think everybody does. And I made it in so many ways that it's embarrassing. I once wrote an entire business plan for a gym with a friend. Branding, locations, staffing, financial projections, everything. We daydreamed about running our own fitness studio for weeks. But nothing happened. It's not about follow-through. The real issue is what the dopamine is attached to. You cannot make real progress if you reward yourself for thinking about the idea. Instead, what should be rewarded is the activities that build the idea, that operate it. Usually that means starting smaller than what you want to and doing things that are not really part of your original fantasy. With my gym example, that would have meant actually talking to people about personal training and getting someone to pay to get trained by me, even just outdoors. Try to form a little group who is excited about training together and make the group grow and start hiring a location to train in and eventually rent a space full-time and even make people choose the brand name. And that's basically what happened with CrossFit and Frame Fitness. But the point is that there are 2 types of action. The kind that prepares and the kind that builds. We default to doing the type that prepares first, and that's the mistake. Because building is preparing. Building gives you real-world feedback, which is all the preparation you need in order to build the next iteration. And that brings me to the second mistake we all make. Delayed self-signaling. Waiting too long before showing your work. And I get it. You want it to look good before you share it, so you keep tweaking and you keep trying again and redoing it, and you keep telling yourself that you just need to improve your skills first. What you're not realizing is that doing this is just raising the pressure. It makes it even harder to get comfortable with sharing your work, regardless of your level actually. When you share early, even if it's rough, something changes. You make it more real. I borrowed this approach from software development. A good dev commits small chunks of work in public, as early and often as possible. It's iterative feedback that shapes the final outcome, and it's developers that brought this concept to the startup world. Entrepreneurs now launch their startups by building in public, sharing what they do every step of the way, starting from zero, before they know it's gonna be successful. And when you do this, your progress becomes a story. Every new commit builds anticipation, and when you master this, the concept of being good enough becomes strange even to think about, because improving is now what you're all about. There is not a good enough point. It's a continuum that hopefully never ends. For anyone who wants my help to actually set this up in their own life, I've got something coming soon, and I'll share more at the end. But first, let's dive into mistake number 3, which is someone counterintuitively being too creative too often. Creativity is just pattern recognition. It's seeing links that are not obvious. That's a useful skill to have until you need to focus. Then it becomes noise. You sit down to draw and suddenly you're planning your next video. You're coding a script and now you're thinking about business ideas. You're not multitasking, you're wandering. It's what happens when your creative brain has no guardrails. What helped me was building a simple system made of a routine and a rule. The routine is just a simple view of my week, with blocks of time that I have to or want to dedicate to specific activities because of work or hobbies. The rule is what makes it all work like magic. The rule is that if I am in one of those blocks, doing the prescribed activity, every time I get a new thought or idea that is not related to that activity, I have to write it down immediately, and then return to my activity. This means that I don't get lost chasing the new idea down, but I also don't ignore it either. I extract it from my brain. And since I know it's safe somewhere, I have peace of mind to carry on with my activity without distractions. The effect is immediate. Every time I cache a distracting idea and store it away, I get a boost of focus, and it's like clearing the RAM on a computer. My brain stops running parallel processes in the background trying to keep track of stray thoughts. I get to focus fully on what I'm doing now. But that's not the only benefit of this system. There is an extra bonus. By doing this, you start collecting a running log of fresh ideas to dig into later, when you're actually free to let your creativity run wild. If you don't capture these thoughts, your creative brain just keeps opening new tabs until you crash. But if you treat your mind like a RAM, offloading what's not needed right now into cold storage, you can actually get things done and still keep every good idea safe for later. All of your best ideas mean nothing if you cannot sit still long enough to work on them. Creativity without constraints is friction. With constraints, it's fuel. And when it comes to routines, I now understand that this is what I do best. I've designed systems that work for all kinds of goals at different stages of life as well, and not just for myself, for other people as well. And now there's well over 1,000 of you that have told me what you need help with. Routines, systems, and how to reach your goals are consistently at the top of the list. So in addition to these videos, if you want extra help, I'm launching a hands-on service where I will personally review your goals, your life constraints, and current routine to help you design a system that works for you. I'm still putting the final touches to the offer, but what I know already is that I'm not gonna have capacity to serve many people in this way. I would have to cap it to a very small number of people, at least to start with. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure that you are on the waiting list in the link below. And in the meantime, you can watch this next video here where I break down 7 steps that helped me fix my own creative routine, the one that I use right now. I'll see you there.